Boca orange seals, 3/8-4s, 5/11-4s. The first thing you want to do is take off the orange seal itself so the bearings are exposed, which makes it easier to clean initially and to clean on the fly. The bearings also seem to run a lot faster without the seals on. First thing you're going to do is take off the orange seals on the bearings. I usually use a small hook to take the seals off. After the seals are off, they are ready to flush. Bearings are now ready to flush in a solution of 50/50 Simple Green and water for about 30 minutes. After the bearings have flushed, it is a good idea to rinse them in 100% water to get rid of any of the residue. After the bearings are completely dried and flushed, the next step to do is to take the old bearings out, and I'll show you how to do this right now. Usually I use my real tool, or you can use a penny or dime to loosen the side plate of your DAIWA. Once the side plate is off, there's a small bearing that is on the side plate. You can use a small screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, to remove the spool pin. Once the bearing retainer is removed, you should be able to pop the bearing out. Most of the time the bearings just fall out. Once that bearing is removed, you can insert the new bearing and put back the retaining clip. Next up is the bearing on the spool, which is a little trickier to do if you do not have the right tool. The bearing is seated on the spool pin, which is held in by a pin, and you have to use a specific pair of pliers that has a hole on one side and flat on the other, so you can push the spool pin out. Once the spool pin pops, then you can take a screwdriver to pop the spool pin out. Once the pin is removed, you should be able to slide the old bearing off the spool pin and insert the new bearing on the spool. After it is inserted, you just put the spool pin back on with the same tool and center it up . So it does not catch on the pinion gear. The last thing you need to do is add a small drop of oil of your choice so the bearings are not dry. Right now I'm going to be applying some new Boca Bearing Yellow Lightning Oil. After it is all installed, pop your spool back in, put the side plate on, tighten it back up,